The bourbon burned my throat as I gazed at the smudged lipstick on the tumbler, a vibrant red I didn't recognize. It wasn't hers. At least, it wasn't the shade Emma wore when she pecked me farewell that morning, her hazel eyes glinting with something elusive. My name's Liam, and I'm the sort who picks up on details, perhaps too many. That lipstick struck me like a punch to the stomach, raw and unavoidable. Our Brooklyn brownstone was meant to be our sanctuary, but that evening it felt like a crime scene. Emma and I had been a couple for 4 years, engaged for one. She was a graphic artist whose laugh could brighten any space and whose temper could set it ablaze. I operated a modest woodworking shop, creating bespoke furniture for wealthy Brooklyn locals. We were a strong pair, electric, even, or so I believed. The first sign of trouble appeared a month ago when her phone began vibrating at strange hours, her quick taps to mute it, and her vague mentions of work deadlines. I didn't press her. I trusted her. That was my first error. The cleaner, Felix, started working at our place 6 months back. He was a wiry man in his late 30s, with a sharp nose and a reserved demeanor that made him blend into the shadows. Emma found him through an app, saying he was affordable and meticulous. I hardly noticed him. He swept floors, cleaned sinks, and left. But recently, I'd catch his gaze drifting toward Emma. He thought I wasn't watching. I dismissed it as suspicion. That was my second mistake. That evening, I returned early from a job in Williamsburg. Emma wasn't home, which wasn't unusual. She often worked late at her studio. Yet the house felt off, the air heavy, as if it were holding a secret. Then I spotted the glass on the kitchen counter, the lipstick mark glaring like a red flag. I lifted it, my finger grazing the smudge, and my gut churned. Emma was fastidious about her makeup. She'd never leave a glass like this. I set it down and surveyed the room. Her notebook lay open on the table, a half-done sketch of stark lines and vivid hues. Her style, but sloppier, hurried. Then I caught a faint whiff of aftershave, not mine, lingering like an unwelcome intruder. I moved through the house, my boots thudding on the wooden floor. Upstairs, our bedroom door was slightly open. I nuzzed it wider, and my heart froze. The bed was unmade, sheets twisted in a reckless heap. Emma always made the bed. It was her routine. On the nightstand, her engagement ring sat alone, gleaming under the lamp's light. My chest constricted. I picked it up, the metal cool in my hand, and noticed something else. A single earring, tacky and cheap, unlike the sleek jewelry Emma favored. It wasn't hers. My thoughts spiraled. I checked the bathroom, the wardrobe, every nook of the house, but found nothing more. No note, no answers. Just questions stacking up like overdue notices. I dialed her number, straight to voicemail. I texted, "Where are you? We need to talk." No reply. The silence roared in my ears. I sank onto the sofa, the glass with the lipstick smudge staring at me from the counter. Then I remembered Felix. He'd been here that morning. I'd seen his van parked outside as I left for work. Emma had been in the kitchen, tummy, her hair still wet from the shower. Felix had been cleaning the counters, his movements slow, careful. I hadn't thought much of it then. Now, it felt like a moment I'd misjudged. I opened the app Emma used to hire him. His profile was minimal. Felix, 38, professional cleaner, 4.8 stars. A few bland reviews lauded his eye for detail. I checked our booking history. He'd been coming twice a week, sometimes 3, more often than I'd realized. Emma always managed the schedule, saying it was simpler that way. My jaw tightened. Was she orchestrating something, or was I overthinking it? I poured another bourbon, the bottle feeling weightier than it should. The aftershave scent lingered, subtle but unmistakable. I rummaged through the trash, desperate, perhaps, but I needed answers. Beneath coffee grounds and takeout boxes, I found a crumpled receipt from a nearby bodega. Cheap wine and condoms. Dated yesterday. My blood chilled. Emma despised cheap wine, and we hadn't used condoms in years. The clues were aligning, each one uglier than the last. I sat there, the receipt in one hand, her ring in the other, and felt our life fracturing. I wasn't certain it was Felix, but the thought of him, his quiet gaze, his rough hands, near her made my skin crawl. I wanted to confront her, to demand the truth, but she wasn't here. And Felix? I had no idea where to find him. The night stretched on, each hour heavier than the last. I didn't sleep. I just sat, replaying every moment, every glance, every lie I might have overlooked. By morning, I was certain of one thing. Emma was concealing something and Felix was involved. I wasn't sure how far this went, but I was determined to uncover the truth, even if it shattered me. Emma hadn't returned home. Her phone remained off, my messages ignored. I'd reached out to her studio, her friends, even her brother in Boston. No one knew anything. She'd disappeared, leaving me with a mystery I dreaded solving but couldn't let go. Felix, the cleaner, was my only clue. His image kept surfacing in my mind, those angular features, that reserved gaze, the way he'd hover a moment too long near Emma. I had to track him down, to meet his eyes and see if he'd falter. I reopened the cleaning app, my hands stiff from clutching the phone. Felix's profile was unchanged. 38, professional cleaner, 4.8 stars. No surname, no address, just a booking option and a generic photo that didn't fully match the man I recalled. I checked his schedule. His next visit was tomorrow. Too far off. I needed answers immediately. I skimmed the app's terms, searching for a company address, but it was all vague. A P.O. box in the Bronx, a generic support email. Useless. Then I remembered the van, white, battered, with a faded logo on its side. I'd seen it parked nearby yesterday. If I could locate it, I could find him. I snatched my keys and stepped out. The Brooklyn streets alive with morning bustle, joggers, delivery scooters, the pulse of a city stirring. Our street was calm, though, the brownstones standing like silent guards. I paced the block, then the next, searching for the van. Nothing. My breath came in sharp bursts, my thoughts spiraling. What would I even say if I found him? You messing with my fiancé? The idea made my hands ball into fists. I wasn't a brawler, but in that moment, I felt like I could be. After an hour, I gave up and headed to the bodega from the receipt. It was a tight little shop on Atlantic Avenue, shelves packed with chips and cheap liquor. The man at the counter, an older guy with a silver-streaked beard, barely glanced up from his phone. I slid the receipt toward him. You recall who bought this? Yesterday around 6. He peered at it, then at me, like I was interrupting his day. Buddy, I see dozens of folks daily. Wine and condoms? Could be anyone. I pushed, describing Felix. Tall, lean, sharp nose. He shrugged. Maybe rings a bell, but I'm not sure. Check the camera. He nodded toward a grimy security cam in the corner. No luck. He wouldn't show me the footage without a cop. I left, my frustration simmering. Back home, I rummaged through the house again, hunting for anything I'd overlooked. Emma's closet was chaotic. Half her clothes missing, hangers swinging like broken vows. Her laptop sat on the desk, and I paused. We'd always respected each other's space, but that was before the lipstick, before the ring. I opened it, my heart pounding. No password. She'd always been lax about that. Her email was open, and I scrolled, despising myself, but unable to stop. Most were work-related, client notes, invoices. Then I spotted it, an email from an unfamiliar address, sent 2 weeks ago. No subject, just one line. Can't wait to see you. Same time next week. Des. My stomach churned. I checked her deleted emails, her sent folder, nothing more. Whoever was, they were cautious. I opened her calendar next. She was meticulous, color-coding meetings and deadlines, but there were blanks. Hours marked, occupied, with no details. Always on days Felix was booked. My hands trembled as I shut the laptop. It wasn't solid evidence, but it was close. I needed to breathe. I stepped onto the stoop, the city's hum a dull throb in my ears. That's when I saw the van, parked 2 blocks away, half hidden by a delivery truck. My pulse surged. I approached cautiously, checking the logo, same worn design. The driver's door was locked, but through the window, I saw a jacket slung over the seat, a pack of cigarettes, and a phone charger. Nothing damning, but it was his. I jotted down the license plate and called a friend who knew someone at the DMV. DO'd me. An hour later, I had an address, a dilapidated apartment building in Bed-Stuy. I drove there, the city streaking by. The building was bleak, chipped paint, a broken buzzer. I waited outside, leaning against a streetlight, watching the entrance. Hours dragged on. No Felix. Just as I was about to leave, a woman exited, juggling shopping bags. I held the door for her, slipping inside before it shut. The lobby reeked of damp and cooked garlic. Felix's apartment, 3C, was on the 3rd floor. I knocked, my knuckles tense. No response. I knocked again, harder. Nothing. I pressed my ear to the door and heard a faint scuff and silence. Someone was inside. Felix, I said, my voice low but steady. Open the door. We need to talk. Silence. I pounded harder, my patience unraveling. I know you there. The door inched open, just a crack, and I saw his eye, guarded, unblinking. What do you want, Leah? His tone was calm, but there was a sharpness to it. I forced the door wider, stepping into the apartment before he could block me. The place was bare, a worn-out sofa, a TV perched on a crate, a faint bleach scent in the air. Where's Emma? I demanded, my tone sharper than intended. Felix blinked, faking confusion, but I caught the twitch in his gaze. I've got no idea what you mean, he said. I closed the distance, looming over him. Don't act clueless. The receipt, the lipstick, her ring. What's happening? He raised his hands, stepping back. Man, you're way off. I just cleaned your place. That's all. But his voice wavered, and sweat glistened on his brow. I grabbed his shirt, my anger boiling over. Don't lie to me. I know you're part of this. He pushed me away, stronger than I expected, and for a moment, we stood locked in a stare, the tension electric. Then his phone vibrated on the counter. I snatched it before glancing at the screen. A message from an unsaved number. Unsigned. Don't call. I'll explain later. My blood froze. It was Emma's number. I turned to Felix, my voice low and cold. Care to explain this? He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. For the first time, he looked rattled. I left him standing there, his phone still in my grip, the text etched in my mind. Emma was alive, hiding, and Felix knew more than he was letting on. I didn't have the full picture yet, but I was close, too close. Driving back to Brooklyn, the city lights a haze through my fury. I knew this wasn't just about betrayal. It was about secrets, and I'd tear them apart, whatever the cost. In the dim hallway of Felix's building, the text from Emma's number burned in my vision. Unsigned. Don't call. I'll explain later. My grip on his phone tightened, my knuckles pale. Felix's eyes flicked between me and the door, his confidence fading. Liam, you're missing the point, he stammered, his voice thin. It's not what you're thinking. I was done with vague excuses. I thrust the phone toward him. Then tell me what it is. Right now. He flinched, and in that instant, I knew he was hiding something, if not everything. Give me my phone, he said, reaching out. I pulled back, my free hand clenching. Not until you talk. Where is she? What's going on? His jaw locked, and for a second, I thought he'd lash out. Instead, he slumped against the wall, like the fight had left him. She's at a motel, he mumbled. The Starlight, off the BQA. Room 214. That's all I've got. I studied his face for deception, but saw only defeat. Why is she there? I pressed. He shook his head. Ask her yourself. I didn't linger. I stormed out, the address seared in my mind. The Starlight was a rundown spot, the kind you pick to vanish. Speeding through Brooklyn, the city a blur of neon and pavement, my thoughts churned. Emma, my Emma, tucked away in a motel with secrets I couldn't grasp. The lipstick, the receipt, her abandoned ring, each cut deeper, but the puzzle wasn't complete. Felix's role was unclear, but that text linked him to her, and I wouldn't stop until I knew why. The motel sign flickered as I pulled into the lot, its blue glow casting shadows on the cracked asphalt. Room 214 was upstairs, behind a faded door with a crooked number. I parked, my pulse racing, and climbed the steps, each one heavier than the last. I knocked, sharp and firm. No response. I knocked again, my voice steady but low. Emma, it's me. Open up. Silence, then a soft shuffle. The lock clicked, and the door inched open. There she was, her hair down, eyes puffy and red. She wore an oversized sweater, not hers, and her engagement ring was still absent. Liam, she whispered, her voice breaking. I stepped inside, the room heavy with stale smoke and regret. A lone bed, a chipped nightstand, a half-packed duffel. Her life reduced to this. What's going on, Emma? I said, my voice trembling. Why are you here? Was him? Her eyes widened. Felix? No, it's not. She stopped, her hands wringing together. You don't get it. I pulled out the receipt, the image of the lipstick-stained glass still vivid. Then explain it. The condoms, the wine, your ring left behind. You're gone, and he's got your texts. What am I supposed to think? She winced, as if I'd hit her, and sank onto the bed. It's not what it seems, she said, her voice empty. Then what is it? I snapped, pacing the cramped room. Because I'm losing it here. I trusted you, and now I'm chasing shadows. She looked up, tears streaming down her face. I was trying to keep you safe, she said. Safe from what? I demanded. She took a shaky breath, and the truth poured out, rough and jagged. It wasn't an affair, not quite. Felix wasn't her lover. He was her cousin, long estranged, recently back in her life. He'd been cleaning our house to stay close, to help her without raising suspicion. Emma had been concealing a darker truth, a debt, old and grim, tied to her family's history. Her father, long gone, had borrowed from people who never forgot, loan sharks who'd hunted her down, demanding repayment with steep interest. They'd threatened her, then me, if she didn't settle up. She'd hidden it, believing she could manage alone, scraping cash from freelance jobs, selling her artwork on the side. Felix had been her intermediary, passing payments to keep the creditors at bay. The receipt? A sloppy ruse to mislead me, to make me suspect infidelity rather than uncover her secret. The lipstick was borrowed from a friend, a decoy. The ring? She'd removed it to sell, then backed out, leaving it behind in her haste. The motel was her refuge, a desperate move to plan her next step as the threats grew worse. I didn't want you dragged into this, she cried. They'd hurt you, Liam. I couldn't let that happen. I stood there, stunned, my anger fading, replaced by something heavier, sorrow, perhaps, or regret. Why keep it from me? I asked, my voice softer now. We're supposed to face things together. She shook her head. I was embarrassed. I thought I could fix it. I didn't want you to see me this way. I knelt before her, my hands on her knees. You think I love you less? Emma, I fight for you. I'm fighting for you. She broke, collapsing into my arms, her sobs shaking us both. I held her, the burden of her secrets settling over us. But doubts lingered. Felix, I said, pulling back. Why the texts? Why is he so evasive? She wiped her tears. He's scared too. Those people know him. He's been trying to shield me. But he's in too deep. I believed her mostly. Her story added up, filled the gaps. But Felix's role still troubled me. Had he pulled her into this mess? Exploded her fear? I needed to confront him again, to be certain. We're going back, I said. You, me, Felix. We in this together. She nodded, her expression resolute, and for the first time in days, I saw the Emma I knew, bold, unyielding. We drove to Felix's. The city hushed as dawn broke over the horizon. He was waiting, his apartment door slightly open. He looked worn, like sleep had evaded him too. You told him, he said to Emma, not a question. She nodded. I stepped forward, my voice firm. No more secrets. Who are these people, and how do we stop them? Felix paused, then revealed it all. Names, addresses, a bar in Red Hook where the Sharks operated. They weren't invincible, just brutal. Pay them, or disappear, he said. That's your choice. I looked at Emma, her hand in mine. Running wasn't our way. We'd fight, together. I called my brother, a cop with connections, and explained everything. He promised to handle it, to take down the Sharks without exposing Emma's past. Felix agreed to testify, to clear his name. It wasn't ideal, but it was a plan. Back home, Emma slid her ring back on, her fingers shaking. I'm sorry, she whispered. I kissed her, tasting tears and reconciliation. We're not finished, I said, but we're not broken. The house felt like ours again, the shadows fading. Felix was gone, his van no longer on our street. The lipstick-stained glass went in the trash, the receipt burned. We'd rebuild, step by step, stronger than before. But at night, when Emma slept, I'd lie awake, questioning if I'd ever know the full truth. Trust, once fractured, never quite mends the same. And somewhere in my mind, Felix's guarded eyes still lingered, a shadow I couldn't fully shake. The days after the motel blurred into a tense rhythm, like a record stuck on loop. Emma and I were back in our brownstone, her ring gleaming on her finger again, but a new weight hung between us. My name's Liam, and I'd always believed love could fix anything. But love doesn't erase doubts, not when they're rooted in secrets. Felix was gone, his cleaning bin no longer parked nearby, but his presence lingered in my thoughts. Emma swore he was just her cousin, a reluctant ally in her crisis. But the way his gaze had shifted when I confronted him, it ate at me. We met my brother, Ethan, at a diner in Williamsburg. He was a detective, sharp enough to spot lies like smoke in the wind. Over bitter coffee, I laid out everything. The lone Sharks, Emma's dead, Felix's role. Ethan's jaw clenched as he listened, his pen tapping the table. These Red Hook guys, he said, they're low-level but vicious. I can pressure them, but I need Felix to talk. Emma nodded, her hands fidgeting in her lap. He'll do it. He wants out as much as I do. Back home, Emma called Felix. I watched her, noting the tension in her voice, the way she avoided my gaze. He's meeting us tomorrow, she said, hanging up, at the bar where they operate. I didn't like it. Too many unknowns, too much risk. But Ethan would be there, and I wasn't letting Emma face this alone. That night, we lay in bed, her head on my chest, but sleep eluded me. Liam, she whispered, do you still trust me? I wanted to say yes, but the word stuck in my throat. I'm trying, I said, my voice strained. Emma stayed silent. The bar in Red Hook was a grimy hole, with dim lights and floors tacky from spilled drinks. Felix was already there, hunched in a boot, his sharp nose catching the neon's glow. Ethan stood near the entrance, dressed casually, but radiating. I slid into the seat across from Felix, Emma at my side. Lay it all out, I demanded. He exhaled, his fingers tapping nervously on the table. The Lone Sharks, he explained, were run by a man named Marco, a lean thug who'd been hounding Emma's family for years. Felix had been funneling payments to him, siphoning money from his cleaning jobs to keep Marco at bay. I didn't want this, he said, glancing at Emma. I was shielding her. Something in his voice, too gentle, too intimate, set me on edge. Shielding her how? I pressed, leaning closer. His gaze darted away, and Emma stiffened. Just tell him, she urged, her tone hushed. Felix paused, then confessed. He'd been in love with her years ago, before I came into the picture. He swore nothing happened, but when she asked for his help, he saw a chance to stay near her. The texts, the secrecy, it wasn't just about the debt. It was personal. My vision narrowed. Emma clutched my hand, her grip urgent. Liam, I didn't realize until recently. I stopped it. I chose you. I pulled my hand back, my chest constricting. Felix looked ready to flee, but Ethan's presence anchored him. Before I could respond, the bar door swung open. Marco, short, scarred, radiating threat, strode in with two heavies. Ethan moved swiftly, badge raised, voice cutting. NYPD. Sit down, Marco. The room went still. Chaos erupted. Marco lunged. Ethan tackled him, and I pushed Emma behind me as a goon swung. Felix, to his credit, didn't bolt. He took a punch, then helped me subdue the second thug. By the time Ethan had Marco in cuffs, the bar was a wreck and my knuckles were raw. Felix met my gaze, bruised but resolute. "I'm done," he said. "I'm gone." I nodded, words failing me. Back home, Emma and I sat on the sofa, the silence thick. Marco was in custody, the dead erased through Ethan's influence. Felix had disappeared, this time for good. But the truth of his feelings lingered between us. "I should have told you," Emma said, her voice faint. I thought I could manage it. I looked at her, the woman I loved, and saw the fractures we'd both overlooked. "No more secrets," I said. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. We'd rebuild, but it would take time. Trust, once shattered, mend slowly. And somewhere, in the quiet, Felix's voice still echoed, a whisper I couldn't shake.